Welcome to another episode of The Creators Outlet, brought to you by our friends over at the Inked Marketing team. Inked Marketing is here to help you get your Kickstarter or Indiegogo up over that hump. They're here to do all the hard work that you really don't have time to in a real world, because we're in a real world, even though I think I'm in a comic book world most days. And we'd also like to introduce you to local hero, Monty Moore. He is up for a Ringo Award. For your consideration, please go to ringooawards.com to vote for Monty and many of the other items up for nomination for a Ringo Award. Monty will actually be here tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. And right now, I'd like to introduce our special guest tonight, Edgar Pasten.
That's right.
Oh, good. I got it right. I'm usually terrible with last names.
No, you got it. Nailed it. First try.
Good. So tell us how you got into comics and what your background is in the creatives.
Right. So I took a very, very long road into comics. As every kid, I think, you pick up comics as a kid and they ooze cool. And, you have that stuck in your mind. I went from being a comic book lover as a kid. I grew up and eventually I stayed in the art field, but I became a product designer. Specifically, I've been designing toys for the last close to 2 decades. And toys, in a roundabout way, took me, it fostered my design, my love of design, I should say, and it just kept me in the art world. And then lo and behold, I had the fortunate opportunity to work for Saban Brands back in, I believe, 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. And they put me in charge, for whatever reason, they put me in charge of publishing worldwide for their brands, for every brand in-house being, one of those being Power Rangers. And in that position, I was fortunate enough to be able to, manage the publishing worldwide, and some of that came in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic book. If you haven't read that, just amazing book by I think the interior started out with Hendrik Prasetya and Kyle Higgins. I was just a fly on the wall for the most part, and giving my input and making sure that little things here and there, we stayed true to the core of what Power Rangers was. But those guys certainly made my job very, very easy.
Yeah, I was way past the Power Rangers phase when it came out. I was already almost out of high school. So I see all these guys, and there's other guys that I'm friends with, and they have their own channel, and they're always posting what they got in. Right. And they're a big fan of the plastic coffin versions of all their favorite books, and buying books for just the cover and stuff. Right. And he's a huge Power Rangers fan. And right. I'm always kind of jabbing him. I go, dude, what are you, 5 years old? He goes, you got to read this book. And then I work for Outright Geekery. And so I went in and I got some of the copy review for Power Rangers. I go, okay, outside of the goofy monsters, the storylines are good. And I'm like,
that's it. Yeah.
And,
yeah, I mean, that's actually, for me, the funny part is, not in a bad way, but for me, I was already too old for it. I was into other things, and when I came about in that position, it was a little bit like, oh, so I'm going to be doing very, goofy, kind of, that nostalgia stuff. And lo and behold, this opportunity with Boom Studios comes along with that fabulous team. And, they just turned that on its head. And even for myself, I wasn't into into the show, all that much as a kid, but I basically was introduced to it in my late 30s, and I came to understand the magic behind the show. There's so much that goes into those shows, and taking care of the IP from that side of things. I really learned a whole heck of a lot while I was there, and that in and of itself helped to for me to jump in order to be able to make the jump in order to make my own comic, and that's AmeriKajui, which is what I'm hoping to share with you guys today.
And it's right there.
Yeah. So good segue. We have the Kickstarter going right now. Less than 66 hours to go. I see it says. So I'm sweating a little bit.
Yeah.
We're a little over 70%, I believe, 70 or 75%. So it's not horrible, but I didn't. I obviously did not plan to be in this position at the last 2 days or so.
Yeah, because this is definite sweat zone.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of
the last day and a half, and you're like, oh man, I really need $1,000. I really need $1,000.
Right. No, and it's what's great is we have so much stuff packed into this Kickstarter, and as you mentioned at the very beginning of your show, the team over at Inked took on my Kickstarter very late. I was already a couple weeks into the campaign when they helped me out, and I think it shows part of what you were talking about, the pitch, as far as them helping make this a thing and make it spread the word more than anything, because I think that's what this has needed, is to spread the word. But little things like change the cover and move this here, move that there, add this reward tier, it made a world of a difference having those guys on my side, and kind of helping out the way that they have.
Yeah, it helps that Kevin is not only the hair club president, but he's also a fan. So he's also like myself, a huge nerd, and I can say this because he's on the other side of the country and probably doesn't want to fly in a plane to Boston to smack me in the back of the head. And he's a huge nostalgia fan, and he's a huge comic book fan, and he just loves this stuff, and he's got 30 plus years in the marketing business for various things, and he came up with a formula that if you can get on with inked marketing from start to finish, I think everybody so far that's been on with them from start to finish, pre-launch has funded.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's definitely something that I'm in that in the position now to where I can say, shoulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Definitely, if we go at this again, this is definitely something I'm recommending myself in the future. So, future self, if you're seeing this again, and we go through Kevin.
and not just that, but knock on wood, because a lot of crowdfunders get like a huge roll off in like the last 24 hours.
Right. Yeah. And that's actually something that I've, I know is part of it, so as much as I like to joke that I'm sweating, I am sweating it, but, I'm also aware that there's those waves that happen. And a lot of it is education too, because, I know I've called, had conversations with certain friends, and they'll say, oh yeah, there's that thing that you're doing. I'll pledge as soon as I get paid. And, for me, it's like, oh, well, thank you first, thank you for thinking of me. Really appreciate it. But you could show love now and not have to pay until the campaign ends, and a lot of people still think that, it's like pay now you get charged now, or pledge now and you get charged now. So I've had to put like a little button on my images, the pledge now, pay later. So a lot of my friends again are still in that mindset. So they're hopefully we'll get that avalanche towards the end. So we'll hopefully we're not stuck with being within a couple bucks.
Yeah, guys, it's been a month. You haven't got paid yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I got confused because there's the two major crowdfunding platforms that comic book creators use. There's,
right.
Of course, Kickstarter, which is the biggest one, and then Indiegogo.
Right.
And there's a big snobbery between Kickstarter and Indiegogo. You have some people that will only use Indiegogo,
right,
and some people that will only give their money to Kickstarter.
Right.
Now, there's a lot of people that just use Kickstarter because it's the first one, and they don't want to switch over to Indiegogo because it's bad enough that, one crowdfunding platform already has them and sends them notifications for all these little gadgets that they have zero interest in.
Right.
And I've had to wind it down because, as we were talking in the pre-show, I just got an Indiegogo package in. So I didn't know Indiegogo actually does charge you as soon as you hit that
right.
that pledge button.
Right.
Indiegogo whacks your account, and I didn't know this. So I made like almost $100 pledge to the Indiegogo that came in today, and because add-ons,
right.
and I stopped myself because I was going to basically hit add all, but I'm like, I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah,
and
it's good to be a fan though.
Yeah, but they take all your money like up front.
Right.
The only problem with that is if you don't fund, then you have to contact them with your order number and all that information, and then you have to wait like up to 3 months to get your refund. It
seems like there's pros and cons to both of them. I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I for one personally have never done an Indiegogo. I've only seen those for other types of crowdfunding. When for personal like medical bills and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think because of that, because it's so popular to use it for that, I think people are used to seeing Indiegogo and they might be equating it to Kickstarter. They work the same, so I'm going to be charged right away. So that's part of, I think, one of the bigger things that I think in general we're doing it as creators, but I think Kickstarter really lacks in that way is educating people that they don't get charged until the end of a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it easier for a lot of folks.
There's other things that Indiegogo does that Kickstarter doesn't do. One, Indiegogo doesn't take as much out in fees. So the creator actually gets a little bit more money. And by a little bit, I mean, like 1 to 1.3% more.
Right.
But,
makes a difference.
If you've got a huge following, that could mean a lot.
Right.
They also have a few features that Kickstarter doesn't do. You can actually, if you haven't like the sweating zone of 1,000 here,
right?
Indiegogo will actually let you extend your Kickstarter your Indiegogo. Pardon me.
Right, your campaign.
You can extend your campaign another 30 days, and it's also got a one-time flexible amount that you can change.
Oh, got it.
Plus, once the campaign is finished, you can actually keep that project open on demand,
like a store, right? Yeah,
like a store window for an additional 30 plus days. Depending on what you want it open for. I know some creators have actually kept it open because they're trying to hit a certain plateau in their campaign, so they've kept it open like for like 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
In demand, just for the fact that, hey, this is selling good, or I'm getting an order for like, this big omnibus book that I did that's like 300 plus pages. I get an order like, every 2 to 5 weeks for another book. And it's like, another $200 like out of nowhere. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, I got an order in. I go in my back room, I grab it, I pack it, I send it.
Right.
Kickstarter. So this is how I shop for comics, crowdfunding wise. Indiegogo, if I have just sold like some key comics, apparently I buy comics to then sell comics and toys, so I can buy more comics.
Yeah, you gotta feed the beast, right?
So if I just sold some toys, some older toys, or some key books, or a bunch, a lot of filler books or whatever, and
right.
I have a few extra bucks in the account. I can, and something catches my eye on Indiegogo, I can buy it because I know they're going to take my money right away.
Right, right.
If it's on Kickstarter,
it's already there. You're just recycling it at that point, right?
Yeah, and if it's on Kickstarter, I look to see when it ends.
Right.
If it's gonna go until after the first of the month, I'm like, ooh, I got some breathing room. I can do this.
Right, right.
And and that's how I buy. Of course, I've got my local LCS, and I've got a couple of secondary shops that I've become good friends with over the years that I buy like certain stuff from, because my LCS has stayed open for the last 35 years, and they had to, with everything that's happened in the business, they've had to cut. There's not a lot of room for like extra issues on the shelf.
Right, right.
You gotta keep the budget tight. So but I'm just like I'm loving a lot of this crowdfunding stuff, because there's people that I haven't seen in a long time. Like the one I got in today was from Frank Forte. He's been doing he did comics way back in the 80s and 90s during the big indie boom. Right. He owns Asylum Press. And in the meantime, he's like, well, I need to make money. He moved out to California. He started storyboarding. Nice. He storyboarded like, Bob's Burgers and a whole bunch of other shows, and, does commercial art, and
yeah, it stays busy then.
Yeah. He's also a contributing editor over at Heavy Metal Magazine.
Oh, nice. I know some people over at Heavy Metal.
Don't we all though?
Yeah.
It's such a great place.
Yeah.
And I got all excited the other week because Humble Bundle, which is a great fundraiser for people that don't know, when they do books for different publishers, and they always, the money goes to a great cause like Hero Initiative or something like that.
Right.
And they just put up like a huge heavy metal bundle.
Nice.
And I'm not like a huge fan of digital books. I'd like to have them in my hand, but I couldn't say no to like almost $800 worth of Heavy Metal magazines.
Yeah.
And collected hardcovers and stuff in the digital format. I go, I could never afford to buy these.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that seems to be the new the way that everything is turning, right? From movies. Movies I think is obviously the first thing to go digital, and now you used to have those people that would say, I'll always have my DVD collection. Now it's taking up 30% of your living room. You kind of think about it and go, well, digital's not so bad. I can access it whenever I feel like. I can get play it back and not have to worry about putting it away in the shelf or the sleeve and everything else. And I think there's something to say there about the digital format these days.
Yeah, I thought that too, until I found out, like, when you go on to Amazon and you buy movies digitally, and you can watch them like on any any place that you can watch movies,
right,
through the Movies Anywhere app, or Vudu, which is a big one. And right. I thought that was great until I learned to go, you do know you're not actually buying the movie. You're buying a license, and when that license expires, poof, no more movies.
Yeah.
You're just basically buying the same thing that basically like Netflix does, where they pay for programming for X amount of time, and you have it for X amount of time, and anytime that publisher decides that, yep, we're pulling all the digital codes for I don't know, all the Star Wars movies, and
right?
Then there's going to be a lot of like angry people.
Yeah.
Like myself, because I got too lazy to go look for them to put them in the player, and so I have that other venue too, and they're both good, but I'm a big proponent of physical media,
right?
Because once you have the physical, it's always there. If your computer crashes or you end up, God forbid, going without power for like close to a month because of a bad, hurricane or anything like that, what are you going to do? You can't read anything. You can't watch anything.
Right.
You still couldn't watch anything, but at least you could read something if you had the physical. And with things like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, you get both. You get both because you get the PDF, so you can be like, I really don't feel like getting up to get the book.
Right. It's right on your phone.
But my phone and my tablet are right here. So, and I just got a brand new tablet and basically I got a brand new tablet, so I don't have to get up and sit in front of my computer to cram and read books.
Yeah.
For video reviews and all the different podcasts I do, because I'm putting up content like this like 5 days a week. So
yeah, I'm sure it's tough, and the nice thing that, again, it's so easily and readily available. It's very cheap. Like mine, it starts off. I think it's the first 3 issues for $7, and that's the digital bundle. You get 3 issues for $7, which is I don't know. I tried to be as competitive with pricing as I could, and make it to where it's possible for a small entry point. But at $7, I don't think it's too bad for digital. You have all of the all 3 of the first issues. I think it's a great little bundle there.
And where are you shipping out of?
I'm out of Pasadena, California.
Okay.
Rose, the city of roses, I should say.
Rose Bowl country there.
Yeah.
So what's great about this is because shipping costs out of the country are ridiculous right now. So this is a great tier. This is a great tier. People, out in the UK, Netherlands, even Canada, because it's like $20 to ship like a small flat of like comics to Canada, which is like ridiculous. I'm like, but they're right there.
Yeah,
they're actually attached to us.
Yeah,
I know there's a borderline there, but come on,
it's just so unfair. I mean, there's even some places in the U.S. that it's so absurd how much it costs. We were just talking about how crazy of a route it can take just to like get to you right back east. Just the shipping costs alone have driven a lot of these things out of cost. But what I've done is I've absorbed some of the shipping costs. So what you see there is artificially low, of course, in some instances. So it's kind of it's another one of those facets of crowdfunding that I never thought about. I always thought, oh, well, when it's all over with, we'll calculate the shipping for them and send it off. But no, it's like it's one of those things where you have to charge them up front for, which really sucks because that can sometimes pull people out of a campaign.
Yeah, like if somebody pledges like $10 or $25, and then the shipping cost comes up, and it's like another $25 to Canada, or like upwards of like $40 in the UK.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even just today, my art team, I was able to ship their contractual samples out. They're both out of the Philippines. I have Jessrel Rojales on the inks, amazing inker. I'll show you some of the initial work that I sent him. I send the designs, the pencils over, and give him an idea of what I'm looking for. Yep. And then he comes back and basically gives it his filter. And then my colorist is also in the Philippines, Miguel Gaton, and you're seeing some of his work there on the screen. The inks on this one are by Javier Giangiacomo, and I believe he's in Argentina. Excellent inker. I mean, just does phenomenal work. Back to the point I was making, though, my team, interior color, the colors and inks are both in the Philippines, and I had to ship out their bundle of comics today, and just a small bundle that I sent them for issue 1 was $44.
And just in shipping,
yeah, just shipping by itself each, So I just spent like $90 on shipping today for 2 packages, and now I'm like, oh man, what did I, what kind of can of worms did I open up with shipping overseas, anywhere other than the U.S.
But on the plus side, I mean, this what we're looking at on the screen now looks simply amazing.
Phenomenal, right? Yeah, I mean, he does some amazing work. Both Jessrel and I should say Javier and Miguel both knocked it out of the park with this one.
And Christina wants to know what inspired you to write the story in this format.
So a lot of things. It's a great question. A lot of things actually pushed me into this direction. I've been in that world of product for so long, and I was able to work at Saban, where I was able to see and look behind the curtain of how a TV show is run. And for those things, I got inspired, and I was like, oh, I can see something like this being on TV. Who doesn't love monsters, and how cool would it be if it were a 5-year-old protagonist, right? And that's the whole setup for my comic is you have a 5-year-old protagonist named Ike, and he takes on America's mythical monsters, and he's taking on Chupacabras and Momo, Jersey Devil. The list goes on and on. How does he fare? How does he do it? And still, 5-year-old, how does he still have time for a nap? How does he learn to read? Right. And those are things that we're going to explore. I'm doing my best to steer the stories to be a little more about the heart of like the 5-year-old and his experience in doing all of this, and still throw in some really cool imagery like what you see there. Javier was able to capture the spirit of what I'm going for in terms of that's our main villain. And in this case, he's made up of a bunch of different monsters. So he basically combines to become this big monster, which is a good segue also to introduce him in his physical form, which I have here. We have Tagaric as a roto vinyl figure. This is actually the polymer clay version that I sculpted myself.
Wow.
And I take that, again, it's from years of being in product development. I've learned to sculpt and sew and everything under the sun. And here we have his this flesh version is actually rotomold vinyl. So this is a nice squishy stuff. So if you think of like your old baby doll material, like the face material, the plastic is what this is made of, the roto vinyl. So this guy's already made, the mold's already done, paid for, production is already underway for Tagaric, and he happens to be one of the rewards tiers that we're offering for the comic.
You got comics and toys.
Comics and toys are my two loves. Well, outside of my family. Sorry,
let's mention them quick.
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
hon.
Yeah, quick plug for the family. I love you guys. But toys and comics are professionally where my attention is.
And this is, I mean, how often do you find somebody who's creating their own comic book that has come from years of loving comics and has been designing toys and was put in charge of friggin' Power Rangers,
right?
For Boom Studios, and I'm like I was reading like your profile on the page when Kevin sent me the information for the roadshow stops, and I'm like, oh my God, my new best friend. He makes comic books and toys.
Right.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I thought of doing this as two very separate things, and I've been doing the Roto toys for quite a while. Funny story. I was not really all that funny, but I was actually able to these little guys that you see here. I was actually able to, a few years ago, I had the fortune of designing this guy for Stan Lee. This was one of our very first pieces. I did a little vinyl Stan Lee, and ended up working with the man himself for about 6 years. No, about 5 years. 5 years, and I was fortunate enough that he liked the design. It was actually a little sketch I did for him on a note. It was a thank you note that I sent him, and I did a little sketch of this character, and I added it to the note, sent it off to him, and I think it was like a week later, his team gets back to me and is like, "Hey, can you maybe sculpt that out for Stan? It would be nice to have that for his birthday." So I was like, yeah, sure. I can give Stan a birthday gift. And I ended up sculpting it for him in a couple of different forms. And then I made the resin piece to like finally paint and hand over to him for his birthday that December. I think that was like December of 2010, 2011, way back when. And we gave it to him for his birthday, and I get a call. And it's Stan and his team, and they're like, "We think this can be a thing. Like, let's make a vinyl toy out of it." And lo and behold, that's where we ended up making a toy. A toy version, chibi of Stan Lee. So I've been doing the Roto vinyl since then. He was actually my second piece that I made, and I thought that can be its own thing. It can live by itself, and then I designed the villain. I designed these things to work in this world, and I see the another question about monsters being scary, and they can be scary. And the comic itself is very kid friendly. I've actually, this is something that I've written with keeping in mind that my son is around and my son is curious about all of these things. My son helped me with the voiceover for the video there that we have on Kickstarter. All of these things are things that I'm proud enough to show my son, and I'm not having to stay on basically, oh, don't listen to this part, or let me mute this and don't look at that. So I was fortunate enough to have that in the back of my mind when I was writing all of this, and it actually came out very natural to keep it somewhat PG in that sense, but still have the epicness of these monsters that for myself, I can only say that I grew up fearing, like the Chupacabras was one that came about when I was maybe 10 or 11, and and then it just kind of started building from there, and I'm happy enough to say, I was able to put him in without adding too much gore, without having any heavy language. So it's actually a fairly kid-friendly comic that adults can enjoy as well.
Which, of course, is is great because there's not quite enough, all ages books.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't want to be that guy that's like, from 5 to 99, everybody enjoy it. But, I think there's a little bit for adults. There's a little bit for kids. There's enough action in there. I'm very conscious of laying stuff out, and kind of I color code is the way that I do it. Right. I have my little thumbnails of each page, and I color code, and I say, okay, this is background story is green, and I'm going to color this other page pink because this is this is setting up something for later, but it's like non-action stuff, right? And then action stuff is all blue, and I like to see a ton of blue for my layouts when I lay it out, and have a lot of meat there for people to see. Here's this battle, but then we start it with a little bit of story and setting up why he battles, and not just it doesn't just here's another monster battle and see you next issue, right? We definitely I definitely write it so that you start off with some story, some background, and then you get into the fights, and you're able to finish off with closing the loop of that the first 2 or 3 pages that we used that aren't action. So again, in these last I don't know how many hours we're down to now that I've been speaking forever, but 66 hours left, or 65 hours, whatever it ends up being. Get out there and pledge if you're listening, guys.
Oh yeah, and
see you guys pledge.
And you can tell just by looking at the image that we have on now how animated this piece is, and it makes sense because you make toys which end up becoming animation models. Exactly. And scanned in, and
yeah, and actually,
I know this stuff because I have no life.
It's funny that you brought that up, because I did actually think of the figure that I held up, Tagarik. I did actually think of him as a maquette when I was drawing all of this stuff. It's a lot easier for me to sketch and be really rough, with my sketches, but I also noodle around with the designs, and I did both at the same time, where I was noodling with the these are some of my rough layouts that I'll send over to my artist. So they'll go rough like this, and I give them some initial proto designs of like, this is what I want the monster to look like. This is about as much detail as I send in. So you'll see from the artwork how amazing of a job he does to translate it into what it is now, right? But I end up doing what I call sketches with clay. So I'll noodle around, and I'll use some clay and form it into the general shape. Which is where this guy came in, and a lot of his form was ultimately inspired by the 3-dimensional piece. And then I altered my initial design that I send over to the inker because of that. So they are maquettes, and they are, I am envisioning all of this as if I were writing a TV show, because that was my last experience in that industry, right? And then I was fortunate enough to have had oversight of the project from a comic book stance. So I was able to, say, okay, ultimately I would love for this to be an animated TV show. Any of the streaming platforms would be amazing to have. But the reality is I have to have some sort of ground to walk on before I fly there, right? So I kind of grounded myself a little bit, and I said, okay, well, what if it was a comic? I started with, if it's a kid's book, like a little storybook or something, but ultimately I do want to have this Kickstarter lead into bigger things, and hopefully take those steps, whether they're baby steps or not, into eventually getting an animated show, which would be amazing. You see the images there, and it kind of lends itself to that. There's a lot of influences there from my childhood, DuckTales and Tailspin, Ninja Turtles, Batman, there's a little bit of everything in the work that I'm putting out.
I was just watching DuckTales.
Yeah. Which one? The old one or the new stuff?
Yeah, the old one.
Oh, nice.
I put it on. My daughter is 12, going on 30, and I put on DuckTales, and I'm trying not to sing the song, but when the line comes up, I'm like, ooh,
yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't not sing it.
You can't help yourself.
Right.
And
I'm so glad they kept the music for the new one too. I mean, they altered it, but
she was like, goes, "Oh, I've seen this so many times."
Right.
Because there's nothing any good on in the morning, so I just put on Disney and put this on.
Right.
And I'm like, that's okay. Your dad's so old, he had to watch it in the afternoons when it originally aired.
And when he remembered to tune in, and then he caught it in middle of the show. And
oh no, I'd get out of school and I would watch from He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers,
right.
And friends' parents would be like, "You have to start walking home soon. It's almost 6 o'clock." Okay.
Yeah.
As soon as cartoons are over, I'll go. Okay. And then they go in the other room. He goes, "What do you mean cartoons are on all day on this channel?" And
right. Mind blowing, right?
Like,
mind blowing. Those kids that had cable.
You have to start walking home now.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, all right. And,
yeah, those fortunate kids that had back then it was satellite. I mean, man, just having Cartoon Network, that was mind blowing for me to find out that was a thing. There's a station that just plays cartoons. That was beyond amazing to me.
Yeah, and the funny thing is we had like all these like specified channels and stuff, and the other day it was like MTV's 40th anniversary,
right?
And I saw somebody put up happy 40th anniversary to MTV. Thanks for 15 years of music, because that's about when they stopped playing music. It's like, well, we're called that, but that doesn't matter. We can do anything,
right?
And now we're just gonna do anything. And,
yeah,
and that was pretty much it. But there's so many channels now, and we knew like streaming was gonna come to this. It's like, well, there's a couple of big streaming things. It was basically just, the big two actually were Amazon Prime and the other one there that is escaping my mind because I don't subscribe to it anymore. But
I'm getting updates on the Kickstarter. We have a few backers in the last couple minutes.
Oh, good.
So thank you to those folks that have backed. I think we're a little over 2,500 now.
Yeah, 2518, 52 backers, 65 hours to go.
There you go, man. There you go. You have the magic touch.
Let's keep it going.
Yeah. So if you guys are listening, thank you so much for listening, and two, anybody that pledges. Take a look at the updates. I have some special stuff on there for backers. So if you just backed, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And also, there's again in the updates, there's a little more information. But if you share, there's some extra special stuff that's going out for those backers that share on their social that help us spread the word.
Oh well, I'm glad to hear that. Because as we're talking, I'm sharing this out to other groups.
Oh, there's my good buddy Marlon. Thank you, Marlon. Appreciate the back and all that, man, my man. Yeah, I mean awesome. It's awesome being here at this point.
It's always nice when I have somebody on and all of a sudden the numbers start ticking and I'm like,
right. It all
yes.
makes a difference, man. It's amazing to see the cheesy line. It takes a village, but yeah, I mean, I certainly had to reach out to every one of my friends and relatives and I keep telling everybody, come on, just throw it in there and let's see, hope this thing gets over the mark.
And I would like to introduce myself as the village idiot. So
yeah.
we can get that out of the way. But it's always great to see people like jump onto a project. It makes me feel good because, my show goes out live all the time. They're like, why does your show go out live? I go, man, because I don't want to have to figure out editing. I had to figure out editing back in the 90s when I went to school for this stuff.
Right.
And digital editing just means I have to spend a lot more money on software. And I'm like, and then I have to learn the software. I'm like, no. I go, let's do it live. And it's been working out. We're fast approaching 150 episodes.
Good for you, man. Yeah, I saw the number. That's amazing. How long have you been at it?
Just over a year.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of shows, man. You're packing a lot.
Oh yeah. I've done up to like 6 shows in 1 week. And then I was like, oh man, that's way too much.
Yeah.
So I cut it down. So now I've got 3 podcasts. I've got the Creators Outlet, which is my love child. And
nice.
I do this Monday, Tuesdays, and Fridays. Wednesday, cool. I do an art show with an artist, Sean Howe, and that's the Seanzilla Art Show.
Right.
And then on Thursdays, I do a show with a friend of mine from Outright Geekery, Thomas Hewlett, and we do something called OK Boomer, the podcast, where we go back in time to the virtual spinner rack, and we grab stuff from Gold and Silver and Bronze Age and take a look at like some older books that people might have forgotten about. Not necessarily all keys, even though, we have, tackled our amount of keys, but, just to bring it back into light. It's like, people, look at this art. This stuff is amazing.
Right. Yeah. Cause
but you'd rather spend $12 on a brand new book from Marvel that is like 8 issues of news story and the rest all reprints in the back instead of like, you can go to just about any sizable comic shop that has, a backstock and find stuff like this or find it online.
And to think that those guys were doing everything without, for the most part, without Photoshop, without any of the big tech that we have these days, imagine, I imagine the, being back in those days. And, I remember when I was a kid making edits on the little comics that my buddies and I would come up with. And me thinking to, when they would say, oh, well, what if he were doing this instead? And thinking, no, it's in ink, it's done. There's no way I'm redrawing this. And those guys had to do it. And that's amazing.
Well, back in my day, we didn't have no iPads and
be
able to erase all our mistakes and start all over again.
Yeah, we had to make our own charcoal and make our own paper.
Yeah, we'd have to cut down the trees and make our own stacks of paper. It would take months. Whoa! I just laugh because I have a daughter that's been brought up in the age of the interwebs where everything is instantaneous gratification. It's like right there, and if she's got like a slow Wi-Fi connection, it's like the end of the earth.
Right. You hear the nails screeching on the blackboard and
and I'm just like, when I was your age, your grandmother would take pictures when we were like out at like, a family event or something, or, she'd take pictures of me while I was playing baseball. I had a game or something and, whatever it was, I go, she had to take the roll of film out of the back of the camera, put it in an envelope, mail it away for 3 to 6 weeks, and then wait for him to come back and hope that she didn't have her finger over the lens, or the lens cap was on, or and she's like, oh. And
why would you do that? Why wouldn't you send it up?
And all the times I would sneak in and steal my mother's camera and take pictures of the old Adam West Batman show on the TV that of course wouldn't come out because you can't photograph television signals.
Yeah. No, it's crazy times, but the good part is we're definitely in a position where now, again, like the digital stuff we were talking about, I mean, it's readily available, it's cheap, and it's quick. I that's something, to your point earlier about shipping, we can send that out and it's in, any part of the globe as opposed to the print stuff. So it's definitely a good thing these days.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's, and it's, and the best part is you're not spent, you don't have a customer spending like, $40 on shipping and
right.
and their wife or girlfriend is like, what did you spend the food money on?
Yeah.
I can show you when it gets here.
Yeah, that always gets me, when shipping is even close to being the same as the product. Being a small business, what I can say to those folks, if I'm sorry for one, but I'm a small business and I understand you're spending your hard-earned money. I always send extra stuff. I always put in, little thing here and there, whether it's a sticker, a sketch, something, because I know that it's, it can't be easy to spend $20 on a comic and then $30 or more on shipping, and that's something that's out of everybody's control,
Yeah. And what's crazy to me is like, I'll go into my LCS that I discovered when I was 15 and have worked there on and off over the years and until my health got poor. And, I'll look at the shelf and I'm like, the hell is it with these prices? And then I'll go to a Kickstarter and be like, ooh, I love this cover. $50, right. Pledge, click.
Right. But the beautiful
then
thing
20
about,
minutes later, I'm like, the hell did I just do?
Yeah. But the nice part about that though, I think for those folks that are looking at like, well, if I go to an LCS, it's $4 or, whatever the price may be that you're comparing to. It's always good to keep in mind, one, those artist variants are also pretty much always going to be limited numbers. Mm-hmm. So it's like you're buying a print directly from that artist, right? And two, you're helping support a small business, not just myself, but also the even smaller business that is, the artists that we're going out and commissioning for these pieces. Yeah. If you scroll down, I have a bunch of artist covers on there. We have a bunch of artists that one, I know from my years of product development and from being in the comics world, and just loving comics. The first one you see there, I mean, the guy, the black one at the top left is above. That's a Javier Giangiacomo one. Big fan of his, so had to reach out and get covers from him. He's actually going to be doing our classic covers, or like our standard cover for issues 1 through 3. And then I have the red one there is a good friend of mine, goes by at Butcher Brand on social media. I mean, just he knocked it out of the park with that one. It looks so freaking cool. It's so graphic and easy to understand right away. And him, he's actually a toy maker. He makes his own resin figures, which are amazing. So if you're into resin figures, take a look at his stuff. He does some amazing stuff. He sculpts, paints. I mean, you name it, that guy does it. Then the top right, that's she goes by at Batty Chow, and again, just the whimsical nature of this cover is something that I love. She did such a great job with capturing the innocence. So I think there's a full cover reveal further down, but the idea there is you have the two brothers that are his mentors around him, and he, the main character, a 5-year-old, and his 5-year-old self is playing around with action figures of his alter ego and a monster. Meanwhile, they're like, "Hey, dude, there's a monster out there. There's a real one there," So she captured that moment really, really well. And then the last cover is Bon Bernardo art. mean, I can't say enough about the guy. He did a fantastic job. Getting that likeness in Ike. The colors that he used for the background are just awesome. And then he threw a monster in at the very bottom there. You see the eye.
Yeah.
And I just thought it's such a great little touch. Yeah, and I think you scroll down a little further, and there's more artists that I didn't mention. We haven't gotten their full covers, and actually, we just revealed some covers.
I like this one because it's just like, ooh,
more right? Yeah, a little bit of eye candy.
More of the book.
Yeah, one of the first things that I got as feedback was show more of the interiors, show people what they're buying, and I didn't want to give away the story. So I was holding back some of those things, but being a first time on this crowdfunding platform, but I see the value in showing people the interiors and the storyline, removing the letters. You can't really follow too much of the story anyway. So you get to see how beautiful the colors are. You get to see how amazing those inks are. Both Jezreel Rojales and Miguel Gaton just did an absolutely fantastic job with capturing, one, that these are spirits, and two, that this is an action animation, kind of I'm looking at all of these as storyboards for an animation.
Yeah, they're all also like bright and vivid. They're just popping off the page.
Right. Yeah, that's all Miguel. I mean, I gave him a little bit of direction here and there, but Miguel just did such a fantastic job of taking my initial direction and just kind of pushing beyond that and really creating something colorful that I think pleasing to the eye for a kid and an adult, but also kind of maintaining that balance of it has to still feel like a comic book.
Mm-hmm. And then we have like all these tiers. I want to go back into more of the stuff up top in a minute, but
right.
I just wanted to hit on all these tiers because it's always fun to have to come up with a different name for each tier, isn't it?
Right.
Isn't that fun?
Well, that's actually something that comes so naturally to me.
Because of product placement and
right. You have to do a lot of copy it's called copy for products. So anytime you see a little blurb on the side of the toy, most likely the designer had a lot to say in creating that, if not the product manager. There's all kinds of different levels that come into play, but for me, that was one of my favorite things to do, is coming up with what's called copy, and that's like you see here, recruit and newbie and rookie, ally. Those are all terms that we're going to be eventually using in the comic. Mm-hmm. And then I switched from the terms to some of the names of the monsters that are included in the comic. So you'll get to see a little bit of a little bit behind the scenes there as to which monsters are coming up in the next couple of issues.
So the recruit package is issues 1 through 3 plus bonus material.
Right.
$7 for all 3 for the digital download.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that one.
The newbie is
for $10 you get your pick, issue 1, 2, or 3, and those are going to be in the standard or classic cover by Javier Giangiacomo.
So yeah, the cover A, as they refer to it most of the time.
Yeah.
The rookie pack is a 2-pack. Right.
And you get your choice of issue 2 or issue 3. Issue 2, we have 3 artists that are on there. We have my good friend and actually classmate Ryan Tumaliwan, goes by Orion Oda King on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Check out his work. I think I put their handles in the description. But,
that's awesome too, because like in the pledge box, it's like, here are all the artists and here's all their social media tags.
Right. Yeah, that way, I mean, you can see exactly where I'm coming from in curating. That was a big part of what we were doing with with the comic is curating and making sure that we had different types of art on these covers, because it's one of the umbrella themes is communication and connecting things that are very different, right? And in doing so, again, my buddy Ryan is part of issue 2 bundle, and so is Bon Bernardo. Let me see if I can pull up on my end, so I can follow along with you.
Yeah, because I'm not on the screen that they're watching. I'm just on the other screen because I can see it, but I can't see it to read it.
Right.
It's too small for me too. I have an excuse. I'm old.
Well, we're on the same boat, friend. So let's see for rookie. Yeah, we have Orion Oda King, Butcher Brand, Bon Bernardo, Duiors, Ilustrador MX, another good friend of mine from Mexico. We have Batty Chow, Enki Skulls, Moon Minis. There's a bunch of artists that are on there that I recommend. Even if please back us. But if you can't back us for whatever reason, take a look at their social media. Even if just to follow them, amazing artists, all of them.
Yeah, I think what you did by putting all their social media tags in is so important, and that a lot of creators should take this hint from you and do that going forward. I've seen a lot of them do it like at the very end where they're listing like the credits.
Right.
With your sequential artists and the writer, of course, and on down the line, and they'll make like a big list in what they did, which is great. But once you get past like the pretty pictures, most people aren't paying attention after that.
Right.
They get down far enough, and sometimes there's a graph there showing where your money went, and we don't care about that. We know we're getting a comic.
Right.
So that's where we stop caring. And you not only put their tags in there, but you put them like throughout in the bundles, like the rookie pledge off to the right where my screen is. Artists include, but may not be limited to at blah, 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 blah. And the list just goes down. It's like, well, that's great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wanted to, again, curating the artwork for this, but also, I'm one to do my best to repay the favor, because they, a lot of these guys, as busy as they are, they fit me into their schedule to create these great pieces, and they've all been super helpful social media wise. I definitely that's one weakness I am, I readily admit. Social media is something that definitely is not my strong suit, but these guys were able to pitch in and share and toss out all kinds of artwork onto their social media, and it's just amazing to see how again, it's a community, and these guys have just come in to help.
And something that caught my attention, because it's surrounded in this big green pow. 70 plus pages. So that's the first 3 issues. So volume 1 has the first 3 issues in it. So the Ally Pack is a 3-piece bundle of your choosing.
Right. Yeah. So you get that issue 2 or issue 3 bundle, which is the a pair of covers, and then you get the paperback, which is gonna collect all 3 of those issues. You also get the digital downloads and the cover art gallery. So all of the covers, I'm throwing those in to the back of this volume 1. So if you want to collect all of the covers, there's a cover gallery added to the back of this book as a little bonus. And I put 70 plus pages, but it's actually shaping up to be a lot more than 70. We're probably
that's where the plus comes.
Right. We're probably closer to 80. And I did that on purpose because when I wrote issue 1, for instance, it was meant to be 20 pages. And I because the art was so phenomenal and I needed to have a little more room. I ended up making it 23 pages, and then I added a few more things in the back of issue 1. So like I add some. I actually have issue 1 here. So for those who want issue 1, it's ready to ship already. It's already printed and everything. So I did, to the point I was making. I actually made this 22 pages. So here's the end of the book, and then in the back there's a little like a bio for the two monsters that are most prevalent in the book.
Cool.
So there's a little bit of background as to like how they came about, like the Beast of Busco, and I actually added the newspaper clipping where he was first introduced and caused what is it called, a sensation back in Kansas back in 1949. So I'm adding little tidbits here and there so that you can see where I got the my inspiration for these characters.
So now my question with this is, because it comes with the trade paperback, and then you get your choice of a cover from issue 2 and a cover from issue 3.
Right.
But no issue 1.
Right. So
because that's in the book.
Because that cover is in the book. And well, one, because of that, but also because it's already in print, and we're only doing the classic Giangiacomo Cuomo cover for that one.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do any artist variants for issue 1, but I am offering it for issue 2 and 3, or moving forward from 2 and 3. And then that hero package comes with everything. So for somebody like yourself who's like, I want to become an instant collector, this is the tier for you. At this tier, hero, which also happens to be the very cheesy name I gave my protagonist. So his name is Ike, and his alter ego is Hero. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But this hero pledge level includes the digital downloads, all 6 artist variant covers, the 3 classic covers, the trade paperback, and a bookmark that we thought it'd be kind of a nice touch to add for those kids that still use the bookmark. It's a kind of a throwback to my childhood. And we're going to be doing a thank you page in issues 2 and 3 for all Kickstarter backers and for anybody that's actually pledged.
Very nice. Yeah. Who doesn't like to see their name in a comic book?
Yeah, and actually that's a good segue. We can skip a bunch of these, but the next one, Howler and Busco, and all the way through Momo, are the vinyl figure, and then right after that with Jersey. Speaking of seeing your name in a comic, with this one you can actually put yourself or your child. We won't judge you. For the Jersey pledge, you can put yourself in there. You get a volume 1 paperback. You get yourself in the comic book, and I believe we have a small description for that one is coming up for me.
I'm looking.
Okay, so this one, it says, let's see, explore Ike's school life balance. Could your child be one of those friends, or will you appear as a teacher, perhaps a parent at drop-off? So issue 2 again is already written, and I like to say storyboarded, but it's the layouts are done. Mm-hmm. We haven't finalized inks yet on issue 2, although we are about to start on that. But at this point, we could add you or your child or a friend, something funny. We'll take requests. We could add you to the comic, and we can we'll most likely, actually this is for issue 3. So issue 3, we're definitely in time to add people, whether it's a kid or an adult. And then the very next tier with Tagarik, you can write yourself into the episode, into the issue, have a talking part and everything. And I won't give too much away, But again, we're exploring Ike's school life in issue 3, his school life balance in issue 3. So we're going to see more of his friends in issue 3. We're going to see for sure 4 and 5. We're going to see a lot more of those friends in those issues. So again, without killing too much of my storyline there, this would be an amazing thing because you would not only be in one issue, you would be in multiple issues, most likely flowing all the way through issue 7.
Yeah, I'd be like, can you put my wife as a child on the bench outside the principal's office?
There you go. Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Be like, look, it's little you. You're about to get detention.
Yeah, there you go. And
then she says, you're about to sleep outside.
The cool part about this one is not only the stuff that you get, because you get some physical stuff too. I'm actually, again, throwing a bunch of stuff in there, but what we're promising is the two volume 1 issues, and your kid is in the comic for a bunch of issues. But aside from that, you'll also get a variant cover, so an artist variant with that same image of the child on the cover, which is a huge value there, because typically commissioning a piece, a couple $100 all by itself, but in this case, you're in the comic, you get a few comics, physical comics to read and to give away, and you'll also be included, or your child, in that special variant cover that we'll be commissioning very soon. For issue 3. Yeah, issue 3. I want to make sure I'm reading this correctly. So yeah, it's actually a really, really cool rewards tier. And I know I skipped past the toy, but it's you get basically a blank version of the toy, and then different levels of rarity in the colors that I'm offering. And then Skeptic, if any of the LCSs out there are listening in, again, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Skeptic 1, 2, and 3. So what we're doing here is at the Skeptic level, you get 25 units of issue 1, 2, or 3. And issues 2 and 3 come with those variant covers built into those 25 units. So for every let me catch up to you. For every 5 units that you order, for instance, in this 25, you'll get one of Batty Chow's comic. You'll get one of Bon Bernardo Art's variant cover, and you'll also get one of the Ryan Tumaliwan cover as well.
Yeah, so you get 23 of cover A, and then you get 22 of cover A, and then you get a 1 in 5 variant, a 1 in 20 variant, and a 1 in 25 variant.
Right, so it would actually be 17 of cover A. I know it's confusing. 17 cover A, 5 of Batty Chow, because it's 1 in 5. Mm-hmm. And then you get one of each of the other 2 guys. So it's actually 18, 5, 1, and 1.
See, math is hard.
I know. I know that the LCSs are so used to seeing stuff like this, and it makes it a lot easier for them to see.
And then they're watching me and be like, "Oh man, this guy's an idiot." I go, "That's why I wasn't allowed to do the orders." Yeah. But then, I was allowed to suggest. I go, "Don't you think we should up the order on this one because this happens?" Oh yeah, good idea. But can I do it? No.
Yeah, you're on the periphery like I am. Believe me, I this kind of thing is beyond my understanding as well. But then in yellow, the crypto, you get 50 pieces. So we're just upping the number of units. So you go from 25 to 50. And then at the master level, you get 100 units of each issue.
That's awesome.
Right. So for LCSs, it's easy enough to order one of those tiers or many of those tiers, as many as you like. And then we also have Lone Wolf in that light blue or grayish, and that is a store exclusive. So that's a variant cover for that store. We'll also do that for for anybody that wants their own exclusive, you can do it that way as well. And that, at that lone wolf pledge level, you get that store exclusive artist variant, and you get to choose from the artists included. So Dweors, a good friend of mine, John Ottinger, is the creator and writer of Dweors. Butch Adams, again, Butcher Brand, and then Chloe Sanchez, who's at Batty Chow, who I've mentioned a bunch of times. Phenomenal artists. All three have a lot of great artwork, and what you get there is, you get the not only the exclusive cover for your store, but you also get 25 units of cover A in issue number 2.
That's awesome.
And
then you're offering ad space.
Yes, ad space. So podcasts, LCSs, businesses, anybody that thinks they would benefit from an ad in AmeriKajui issue 2. We have ad space. We have ad space at I believe it's $200 for each square, and you also get 25 units of issue number 2. So it actually, reality and ad for $75.
I would hand you an envelope under the table with $200 cash, and I would get an ad and 25 copies of the book.
Right, an ad and 25 copies. So for those LCSs or businesses, podcasts, anybody listening, if you want to throw some ad space in there for that $200, you get the physical units shipped to you, and you get ad space in there for issue 2. And then I also did another one, Cold Call, right below that in blue, is just the ad space by itself. And I believe I did that one. Let me just double check, because I know I did Hot Shot and then Cold Call separately. But Cold Call is $100, which I'm actually I'm regretting that now. But for $100, you can place an ad in the comic. For $200, you can get 25 units and an ad. So the reality is the cover, or the cost of your ad is actually $75 if you get the big bundle, or $100 for a straight up ad.
So the Hot Shot gets you your ad and a big box of comics.
Right.
Cold Call just gets you the ad.
Correct.
Okay. So
yeah, and that's the majority of the tiers there. I know we skipped past the toy.
Yeah, let's go back to the toy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to say in the toy too. Starting off with Howler, you get. I know I showed the nude or flesh version of the toy. Mm-hmm. What the reason why it's in that flesh tone? For the moment, I'm not offering it in this color, but it's good for me to see in an off color, because basically it's an artist proof.
Yeah,
the shortest way of saying it. For Howler, what we're doing is we're putting in the toy, the volume 1 paperback, the 3 digital issues, 1, 2, and 3, and he's actually packaged in a really cool way. My good friend Butcher Brand did, Mr. Butch Adams did some phenomenal artwork for the header card. We're going to be packaging these in a header card and bag, so it'll have again another throwback feel to my childhood, at least. And then at Busco, this one is really, really cool. So what we're doing is Kickstarter green for Busco level. So anybody that orders at this pledge level, we're only making as many as I get pledges for. So if I only get one, I'm only making 1 green Tagaric in this Kickstarter green. That's it. That's all that's going to be made. And then at the Chups level, I'm limiting that one to only 25 units, because I am going to make extras of this Kickstarter purple exclusive. Again, these are all going to come with the volume 1 trade, the 3 digital issues. They're nice downloadable format, and it's going to have the special packaging for Tagaric, and that header card packaging, I should say. And you'll also be included in our thank you page for any of these pledge levels for the vinyl figure. And then the last one, Momo, that one's going to come with extra special packaging, which was designed by my buddy Butcher Brand there, and it's going to come with the trade volume, the digital, and then this is also going to be hand painted. So, like I mentioned, I've been doing these vinyl figures for quite a while, and oh wow, my wife is just letting me know we're at 2632 now. So thank you, nice. thank you for pledging, guys. Makes a big difference. We're only we're only a couple hundred away. We're not too far away. So the
it's just gonna take a couple of people to order Momos to
exactly
put it over the top.
Yeah. Order a few Momos, guys. Don't worry about it. So we're less than 500 away. So thank you again. Getting back to Momo, I've been doing these vinyl figures for a while now, and we've gotten to a point now where I've been able to get enough experience in making these that it's fairly automatic. And the nice part is I'm going to plug my nephew, and I'll put his information in the comments. But he's actually hand painting these figures for me, and he's a phenomenal painter. He's had a lot of experience in the last 5 years that I've been that he's been training for this moment, all for this project. So he's actually painting these guys here. I know, I kid, but he is actually a phenomenal painter. He's come into his own, in that field. I basically gave him the tools, and I've been giving him some feedback here and there. But he has basically trained himself to paint these things. And I wish I had more stuff around me to show you, but he does a phenomenal finish to these figures, similar to what you see there, where it's that multi-tone. I guess it's a kaiju paint job, for lack of a better word, but he does these paint jobs on these things, and they come out so beautiful. He's going to be hand painting at that $200 pledge level. So he's going to take some of these blanks and paint them up to so each one is going to be different. So you are at that point collecting not only my artwork, which will be one of very few numbers, but you're also collecting a one of one from another very small artist, starting up and comer. And with him, each one of them is going to be different. They're not going to be the same. What will be the same is the figure, the base of it, but the paint is going to be completely different from one to the next. So that's why this one gets a special. I was having a
discussion similar to this on a show last week, because they're mixing music. They're mixing like heavy metal music.
Yeah, I saw that.
And stuff. And I had to order one of the vinyls because, well, I was a DJ for like 35 years, and I'm like, "You've got vinyl?" He goes, "Yeah, we got splatter vinyl." I go, "Oh," and because I try to collect like stuff that I like in unique forms. And he's like, he goes, "Yeah, this is the splatter pattern, but these are all made by hand." So you're getting, there might be like 500 people that get this version of it, but they're all going to be a little different.
Right.
And the same thing with Momo. It's like, how often do you get a 1-in-1 variant?
Right.
Because
it's a piece of art.
You might get like a little more blue-green on one or a little more purple on the other.
Right.
So I mean, that's amazing. Where do you get a one-of-one toy for $200? Really?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
You're a toy guy. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. There's really very few places where you're going to get the toy that is not mass produced. I'm not making hundreds of thousands of these. I'm not, I'm not a Mattel or Hasbro that's making, 20, 30,000 units at a time. I'm making a couple dozen, if that, right, to begin with. So you're going to be a part of a very exclusive world in that sense already. Even with at the howler level, you're already in an exclusive club. Now, when you go down to that Momo level, for very little money, for that $200, you're getting a one of one, piece of art that is, from this up and coming artist that you should get on now before he gets so big that he can't take on more work. But you're getting something that it's not in everybody's home. So if you're a monster lover, monster collector, you're going to be one of very, very few people that owns these guys.
Toy collector. Kevin, I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
And, in a few years, you'll be like, I remember him when he was painting toys for his uncle.
Exactly. Yeah. And, and again, now, we're at, I forget what the number is now, but we're less than 500 away. And with,
well, let's zoom up here and refresh the page.
What are we at? 53 backers. So thank you to all 53 of you. 64 hours. So
64 hours, 53 backers. About 400.
Just a little under.
Just a.
It's like 468.
I'll let you do the math because we had this discussion already. Yeah. So I mean, we come a long way.
Yeah, for sure.
We've been talking just a little over an hour about your project here, and we've come about halfway from that. Oh, I'm sweating $1,000 a day and a half. So I mean, it looks cool. You've put your life's work into this, basically. You started reading comics. You're making a comic. You're developing an IP. You're making, one of a kind toys to go with the IP.
Yeah. I mean, it's all thrown in there. This is my entire world. I mean, even from a personal side, I threw in the Ike character. I thought it would be more interesting, to portray a 5-year-old. One, selfishly, because this is, ultimately it's a love letter to my son. It's my way of showing him that he's important to me, that he can make a difference in the world. But also because, I mean, how cool is it that you have this 5-year-old and he's able to battle these mythical monsters, and I, again, I throw my everything from my from the personal side of throwing my son as a character in there to my love for comics, my background in comics and product development, my background in making these vinyl toys. I'm basically throwing everything at this Kickstarter.
You're throwing everything at it, and it's just about there. There's not much more room to go, and I'm like, one person putting their kid in the book will put you in the clear. People getting those figures, and now I'm on a. I have to keep refreshing the page. I'm like,
right, yeah, I keep doing the same. Believe me, I'm low key trying to keep my eye on the screen, but seeing how is it doing now? How are we going? But yeah, I mean, 64 hours left. So thank you to everybody that's joined. I don't want to turn this into Sarah McLachlan video where we're singing in the eyes of the angel or anything, but but seriously, even just $1 just to say, hey, I see what you're doing. It's not for me, but here's $1 to help you out. At the very least, it's another backer. It all helps out, and it really does make a difference in the end. I know there's been a few folks that have done just $1, and hey, I respect it. Thank you very much.
I know we gotta cut off here, but before we do, I just want to know the name Hero.
Yes. So yeah, we in this world, Ike looks up to his fictional hero, which is his name is Hero Man. And I know it's super cheesy, but it's something for kids, right? Hero Man is basically his idol. He looks up to him, and he's on TV, he's on magazines, and he's everywhere for this kid. And he looks up to him, and because he's 5 years old, he doesn't know how to spell perfectly quite yet. In the very beginning of our comic, he believes that he's in a video game, and he's creating this avatar to look like his hero. And he gets to the point where he's writing his name, and he's just like, you know what, Hero's good enough. You can tell the difference between the two of us. Our colors are slightly different, and my name is Hero. He's Hero Man. He's not quite a man yet, so he's only Hero at this point.
And is that the character that's standing behind him on this screen? Correct.
Yeah. So Hero is his alter ego. That's who's standing behind him here in the video, and his mentors Sid and Van directly behind him, and those guys are always at odds. So that adds another layer of fun. Seeing the two banter between the two of them going back and forth. And maybe, I don't know if we have enough time, we can play the video. Sure. It's a really fun video. My son is actually makes a cameo in this one as well.
Let's do this.
Hi, I'm Ike. I'm 5 years old, going on 6, and I'm the new monster hunter in town. How am I supposed to learn in school when I have these guys to worry about and these two? Read my story. You'll see a lot of big monsters and monster fights. Plus, I'm in it too!
Hi there. So as you just heard, AmeriKajui is a story about a 5-year-old named Ike and his journey to becoming the next monster hunter. He can't do it by himself because he is a little guy. So he has these two mentors with super different ideologies. On one end, you have the fighter who just wants to get in, get out. And then you have the older brother who wants to plan everything out. Ike has to balance between both of these ideologies and make his own decisions. And in doing so, he's going to face off against some pretty big characters. We're going to throw a lot at this little guy, starting off with Chupacabras, Beast of Churubusco. We're going to have Momo and Snallygaster. There's a lot of favorites in there of mine. And hopefully you guys enjoy monsters as much as I do. And you'll follow along with this story where you'll see Ike as a character evolve beyond just duking things out. So please follow along. Thank you so much for listening this far. And thank you in advance for sharing. We really appreciate each and every one of you taking the initiative and getting out there. Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, my favorite part is when my son comes in at the very tail end of that animation and says, I'm in it too. It kind of, that's what you can expect, that kind of heart, and whimsy.
And we get to see a slightly different version of the toy too.
Right. Yeah. You'll see Jezreel's version of that character. Again, he's a bigger than life character here, and then you're going to see him in Jezreel's style. He'll really come into his own here within the next 2 issues, and more, because we have a ton of other monsters that he's working on right now.
Awesome. So everybody, please go check this out. I'm going to be sharing the bleep out of this. I had to say bleep.
Thank you.
It's a kid's comic.
Thank you.
I'm going to be sharing the heck out of this. And please go into the Kickstarter and follow all the artists, because Edgar spent hours of work tirelessly putting all their tags into every single tier.
Yes. Please go follow those guys. They're amazing.
Copy and paste onto the notepad, and then one by one go and follow them on social media.
For sure.
So I want to thank you very much for coming out. The project looks awesome.
Thank you.
I don't know how a lot of people are going to, after tonight, fight themselves away from, getting one of those toy tiers, unless they have a joint bank account with their wife, then it might be a little explaining, or, but I'm taking you on vacation.
Right.
Okay, you can buy a toy.
You can do a virtual vacation.
Yeah, virtual vacation. Yeah.
I'm sure it'll go well.
Definitely go check out this book.
Yes,
check
please.
out the tiers. There's so many tiers and so many things you can do. If you're, like I said, if you're overseas, or, Canada, who thinks they're overseas, you can always opt for the digital version.
Right.
Or the physical. It'll just be a little more in shipping, of course.
Right.
And if you want the toy, which I can't imagine you do not want the toy, especially the Momo version of the toy,
right,
hand painted, and just go check it out. We're going to be sharing this on all our social media, and as soon as we wrap here, I'm going to be downloading the audio, and it's going to go onto my podcast platform as well. So you'll be able to get the interview anywhere that you can download podcasts. Just search for Creators Outlet.
Very cool, and thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you helping me out with this appearance.
Thanks, Edgar. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. Like I said, as soon as I read your bio, I was like, he makes comic books and toys. This dude is awesome.
Thank you.
So thank you. We're going to look forward to seeing this complete. That means you need to go pledge now.
Yes, please.
Get this far over the top and make this happen, because this is just an awesome thing. And man, this is just a cool looking book, dude.
Thanks again, man. So I'm going to sign off and thank you guys so much for your time. Really can't tell you how much I appreciate all of your help, and especially to you, Will.
Thanks, man. We'll see you. We'll see you soon. Hopefully, with a copy of the book in my hand.
Yes, very soon.
All right. Take care.